All right, there's a new report that the Trump White House has been hiding not only the transcript with the Ukrainian president's phone call with Donald Trump, but also transcripts with Vladimir Putin, as well as Saudi royals, including the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. And of course, is anyone surprised? Why wouldn't they? Who would believe that the White House has this entire other computer system for hiding things, and the only thing they hid was the transcript with the Ukrainian president? Of course, they're using it for other things. And there are new reports which say that the transcripts from calls with the Russian president, Vladimir Putin, and a number of members of the Saudi royal family, again, including Mohammed bin Salman, are hidden on a separate server. Where does that ring a bell? Wasn't it Hillary who had problems with private servers and improperly handling information? Another instance of projection from Donald Trump. And of course, we already have the whistleblower complaining, alleging that this was done with Donald Trump's Ukraine phone call. And now the New York Times and CNN have been told by other sources that actually this is being done with all sorts of communication. So this is, number one, much worse than just one phone call. And then number two, it's also much worse than just Trump, because we are now getting more and more names of people that are being pulled into the circle of knowledge of who was aware that this was going on. There are allegations that Secretary of State Mike Pompeo and then National Security Advisor John Bolton were the only people in the room for some of these calls, which were then buried. There are now committees that want to question Mike Pompeo and John Bolton. Trump said he would have the most transparent administration in history. The opposite is true, going to new lengths, Nixonian lengths, even more than Nixonian lengths, to hide transcripts. The Trump administration has ignored subpoenas of all sorts of documents meant to increase transparency. They were asked for lease agreements from Trump properties. They were asked for documents about the transfer of nuclear technology to Saudi Arabia. They just ignore all of those requests. When a whistleblower comes forward to try to expose some of this stuff, Trump is caught on a recording, which I played for you last week, hinting that either the whistleblower or the people or person who informed the whistleblower should be killed, like we used to do to people who committed treason. This is not transparent. This is transparently corrupt, better said, and they just don't care. And if you've been following the administration, you're not surprised at the minutia of it. But what you really have to understand, we're starting to think increasingly in post-Trump terms, because either in a year and a half or in 5.5 years, scary to think about, Trump's going to go. And the long-lasting impact will be not only all of those judges that he will have appointed by the time he's done, who will control the judiciary for a very, very long time, not only the alliances with other countries, our historic Democratic allies that Donald Trump has ruined relationships with, that will be one of the legacies. But what Donald Trump has done is so fundamentally at odds with democracy. And what you have to understand is that there is actually, in most democracies, even, liberal democracies, there is a portion of the population that wants tyranny, or at least they're open to tyranny rather than democracy, as long as they are the ones who get to enforce it. And that is maybe the most accurate way to describe what we have in the Trump administration. We can point out the individual authoritarian tendencies. We can point out Trump being just so smitten with Duterte and Putin and Kim Jong-un and, the whole list, Bolsonaro, whoever you want to include, and being increasingly distant and at odds with just liberal democratic leaders. Germany, the UK, well, not the UK anymore now that it's Trump too, Boris Johnson, but you get the idea. We can point that out. But what underlies this is that we really have a segment of these right-wing authoritarians that are about tyranny, as long as it's a tyranny they get to enforce. And that is extremely, extremely scary. And allegedly, and we'll talk about this next, there are some Republicans who, if they voted on impeachment on a secret ballot, would be willing to remove Donald Trump. And that's what I want to talk about next.